Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
We have breaking news right now. Police pursuit happening. The LAPD chasing a stolen vehicle. Desmond Shaw live overhead in Sky 9 with all the details for us now. Desmond?
Yeah, Susie, we are on the eastbound 101, and looks like they're going to transition here through the Hollywood split to the southbound 101, headed towards downtown LA. This started with LAPD Van Nuys division here, where they found this stolen vehicle, and like happens so often, they followed them for a while, tried to get everything ready to pull them over, and then they lit them up, and the suspect took off. They started on some surface streets, went northbound on the 101 briefly, then doubled back in Encino. Pretty dangerous because not only is it's a black vehicle driving without their headlights on, and they have not hesitated to get over to the right-hand shoulder when they need to get around. And so we actually have CHP involved in this as well. It's LAPD's helicopter, but it looks like on the ground right now it's going to be CHP. LAPD wanted to hand it off to CHP because it got on the freeway, but now we're getting off of the freeway here in the Universal City area, and we'll see what the next move is as we are making a turn onto Vineland Avenue, Susie.
Desmond, any idea if any other occupants are inside this car?
I haven't gotten that information yet. Haven't heard too much information from LAPD other than that this is believed to be stolen. Looks like a black Lexus SUV, and just without the lights on, so dangerous. That was a red light right there too. So you've got and there's a pedestrian. So this is really a dangerous situation. I would not be surprised if LAPD cancels this pursuit because it is a dangerous one, or rather if CHP cancels this, especially now that it's on surface streets. But now we're on Ventura Boulevard, really busy street, especially Friday night. Lots of restaurants out here, lots of people are out, and CHP is actually now calling for LAPD to take this one back over. They don't want to get involved with this now that it's been on surface streets and the driver driving the way it is. And we just heard now LAPD apparently may be re-engaging this one. So we'll see if we're going to see some other cruisers here from LAPD get involved.
Yeah, we're just getting word, as we were just talking about, Desmond was just talking about, we are on surface streets in Studio City, and Desmond was just talking about how the LAPD might be re-engaging in this pursuit. The CHP had taken over for just a minute, on the ground at least, with the LAPD chopper overhead, as it was going on the freeways often on the eastbound 101, the southbound 101, and they're on surface streets on the northbound 101 for just a minute, and they doubled back and in Encino, as Desmond was saying, and now we were in Universal City when we exited, and now in Studio City. And really the dangerous situation here that we're looking at is the fact that this person does not have their headlights on. As you can see, it is so dark out there. There are lights from gas stations and businesses and whatnot, but someone out there, you know, we saw Desmond show us a passenger even get really pretty close to this car. It can be a very dangerous situation. We're talking about Friday night and people walking out and about on a nice summer evening, and it just makes you so nervous.
Yeah, it's always a dangerous situation. In the traffic here where he is right now in Studio City along Ventura Boulevard, that's heavy for the speed he's going right there. We know this area. It's near our studio. And the danger, Des, it just goes up the farther he goes down this road.
Oh, boy.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah, Ross, actually right by the studio center. Look at this, the wrong way on Ventura Place, right around that vehicle. And now here's what's bizarre. LAPD has gone back into tracking mode, but look at this. The driver is getting even more crazy. Even though there are no law enforcement units directly behind them, the helicopter's still overhead, but that's why they turned the spotlight off to try to discourage behavior like this, so that the suspect doesn't feel so desperate that they have to endanger the public. Okay, well, we're going to see. They may end up re-engaging because it comes down to it where if they go into tracking mode and the suspect is still driving like this, right next to those pedestrians, God, that was so close. And back onto southbound Ventura Boulevard. Wow.
Yeah, that's literally right outside the door of the studio. That was a close call. And, you know, keep in mind, it's a black car with the headlights off. Here we are driving around at these high rates of speed with pedestrians and traffic everywhere here in Studio City.
Yeah, no kidding. If you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 9, this is breaking news. We're watching nervously here as this car gets pretty close to other cars in the Studio City area. As you know, Ventura Boulevard, all these streets are very busy, especially on a Friday night, with businesses and bars along this area. And they are just driving through red lights, as you just saw another one right there, driving like a maniac down this street right now. Desmond, do you see any ground units anywhere nearby?
I'll just widen out here
Yeah.
for a second. We saw some LAPD units back there earlier, but not now. And again, it just LAPD's in a really, really tough spot right now because you just saw how close that person got to that group of pedestrians out there. Didn't even slow down because the lights weren't on. The pedestrians couldn't even see this lunatic coming. So now we're just going to have to see if LAPD wants to keep up with this. It is a stolen vehicle, but if this vehicle was not taken by violent means, there is a very good chance that they're just going to determine this is way too dangerous for everyone to continue chasing. But then again, and I was talking about this last night with the pursuit that we had, is they may even drop it completely, not even follow with a helicopter, and the suspect can still be so agitated that they'll continue to drive like this, and then it's like the worst of both worlds. So then you're not even pursuing the suspect, and they're continuing to drive like this. Always a very difficult situation for any law enforcement agency in a situation like this.
And Des, you know this area just as well as we do. Even though this car is only going around 30 miles an hour, that's fast to be driving without your headlights on in this traffic, in this congested area. It's already a dangerous situation. It seems likely that they would re-engage, considering what we've seen so far, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've passed by our studio center now a couple of times, and Ventura Boulevard is definitely one of the most happening places on a Friday night. So many restaurants, so many bars out here, and you know it's prime time for that right now, Friday night. And so it's okay. They're talking about spike strips at least, so maybe they're going to try to kind of back off, and then if they get an opportunity, they get some officers in place, especially because the suspect has kind of been doubling back. This is the second time now where they've, you know, kind of doubled back from where they've come from. Maybe they'll have the opportunity to spike this vehicle, let all the airs out of the tire, and at the very least, you know, end the danger to the public with the crazy driving with the lights off.
Slow him down, right? You know, doing spike strips, it's not an easy thing for police officers to do. They got to know which way the suspect is traveling, as Desmond was talking about. You know, they are going, you know, kind of in circles and driving around the same area right now, which gives us an indication that maybe that's why they're going to go for this. But again, you see those ground units back on this chase once again. They got to deploy those spike strips, you know, far ahead enough to get a spike strip out and in an area where the suspect can't veer around it.
Goes south back towards Studio City or goes north towards North Hollywood, really wanting to get around this traffic up on the curb to get around, and again through another red, and with no lights on. They're endangering themselves just as much as anyone else. It's just crazy.
Well, there are units right behind him again, and you know, again, we can't stress enough how dark this area really is when you're in this area. Even though it looks somewhat well lit, it's hard to drive here even under normal conditions. Now he's in the wrong lane here as you see the pursuit behind him.
Oh, this is so, oh my goodness, this is so dangerous. And it makes you just so nervous. Oh my goodness.
Well, Susie, this is what I figured. I mean, look at this. Can you imagine going northbound on Violent and you just see this black outline coming towards you with no headlights? And we just heard that LAPD is terminating this pursuit. It has gotten too dangerous now, especially when we saw that wrong way driving. That was the worst thing we've seen so far. But they are saying that the airship is allowed to stay and monitor. So, and we'll see how long that continues to be the case. They may end up calling the airship off completely too. Keeps driving right underneath us here. It's really difficult to keep tabs on this vehicle. Even though they've canceled the pursuit, we certainly want to keep tabs on this vehicle for at least a little while. See if they get out of the vehicle or where they might end up. And perhaps there will be an opportunity later on for LAPD. They still have the helicopter overhead for now. That is subject to change, but now not an active pursuit here through Studio City.
And you know, Desmond, you have to wonder as we see the chopper fly underneath you there, is it really maybe a hindrance not to have the spotlight on this car because they don't have their headlights on. At least when the chopper spotlight is on the car, other people on the road they have a chance of seeing this guy as he keeps cutting in front of people. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everything is kind of a give and take. There is definitely an argument to be made for that, so that at least people see, you know, a spotlight from a helicopter and would hopefully illuminate this vehicle. But then LAPD is weighing that against if is that going to make this suspect drive even more desperately. It's just it's always a judgment call like that. And I believe that the protocol for LAPD is that once they terminate, if they're in tracking mode, and especially if they terminate a pursuit, that they do not use their spotlight. It's different for other agencies. Sheriff's deputies and CHP follow a different protocol. They may continue to use a spotlight even if they're in tracking mode. But we see the headlights have been off the entire time. And you know, some of these streets are really dark, even though they're major. But now we're coming up to one of the most complicated intersections in Los Angeles at Vineland, Lancashire, and Camarillo. And I'm going to have to see what the suspect's going to do
I
here.
have to agree with you on that one. Every time I'm at the intersection, I have no idea what is going on. Looks like they're making...
Yeah, it's like a seven-way intersection, and there you go. You know, fortunately, those pedestrians, maybe they saw that person going, or it wasn't their turn to go. But now we're eastbound on Camarillo, headed towards Toluca Lake, Toluca Woods, behind some buildings here. As we head eastbound, we'll try to keep eyes on this. We have to give a little bit of space to LAPD's helicopter right now.
And if you're just
okay, I still see him coming. Let's head more east here.
Yeah, we're coming up on 9:30, so we just want to rejoin and let everyone know you're watching KCAL 9 News now at 9:30, and you're watching pursuit in progress that began in Van Nuys. This appears to be a black Lexus. We believe it's stolen. We believe there are two people inside. It has been driving around and is now in Toluca Lake for about 15 minutes so far with those headlights out, veering around erratically, driving at speeds at some points topping 65, 70 miles an hour. And you can see how dangerous this situation is here on a Friday night on these local streets, it being this dark. And look at this, this driver and passenger go with what appears to be no concern for anyone else on the road.
And so many close calls that we have watched here, and makes us so nervous whenever they're driving on the wrong side of the road with their headlights off. It looks like they're using their turn signal. They're going around a car to make that left turn. So dangerous while oncoming cars were coming, and then a sharp right turn into a neighborhood. Desmond says maybe this might be a dead end. We'll see. But as we mentioned, the LAPD is now in tracking mode, which means that they've got the airship overhead, and they're going to take over the broadcast of where this car is. The black and whites on the ground, shutting off their emergency equipment so that there's no more presence or pressure, if you will, on this car. And it looks like he was in a cul-de-sac and just driving out of there now, Desmond.
Yeah, I saw the dead end sign, and I know this area. A lot of those go towards the Chandler Bikeway, and look at how fast through the gas station parking lot. It looks like there's just one person in this vehicle right now, and so now continuing back northbound on Cahuenga, and you know, you really learn when you see a vehicle, a black vehicle with no lights on driving around. You see just how dark so many streets are in Los Angeles. We feel like there's street lights everywhere, but even, you know, on fairly major streets, that section of Vineland, the section of Cahuenga, it gets super dark, and that's where it's just so dangerous for anyone else who is just not paying very close attention.
Yeah, and we just have a combination of factors making this more dangerous. Someone in the parking lot right there as this guy speeds through. The weather's beautiful out. It's temperate. It's Friday night. People are walking around this area of North Hollywood. There's traffic everywhere, and this car is just going wild.
Yeah, we were talking about...
You can see someone in that parking lot back there where he just sped through. You can see the head.
We were talking about...
well, the headlights are suddenly on.
Yeah, they are back on.
We're in an alleyway.
Going so fast through those alleyways, too. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're looking for a place to ditch the vehicle, or if this is where they live or what. Again, this started in Van Nuys, not too far off of, I think it was off of Riverside and Van Nuys Boulevards, just a couple of miles, maybe 3 or 4 miles from here, but romping around now. I mean, at least the headlights are on, but still, look at 40 miles an hour. These streets, you know, these are little streets with parking on both sides, and again, one of these residential streets where there are no street lights. Just really, really hate to see this if anyone is out walking their dog, and now the headlights off again. What is going on with this suspect? It looks like they have their interior dome light on, and we can see that looks like there's just one person in the vehicle here, but and again, there's no law enforcement anywhere. So what are they doing?
Yeah, it just makes you wonder. So the chopper is not overhead either now, Desmond?
I'll ask my pilot, Dylan. Is LAPD's helicopter still overhead? Yeah,
okay.
they are still here, but they are just monitoring.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think this vehicle has a sunroof. It might have the sunroof open, and they'll be able to hear the blades of the helicopter if that's the case. It does look like, yeah, the sunroof is open. So, you know, it might just be they're hearing the helicopter blades of LAPD that are down really low, and you know, that maybe that's what's agitating the suspect. I mean, I hate to say that, but you hate to see LAPD back off it completely, but at the rate this is going, it's a really, really tough call for LAPD, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we already know that this SUV clipped another vehicle and coming off the 101, I believe, at Vineland, and we can see how dangerous this has become. Just moments ago, this SUV speeding through a 7-Eleven parking lot where someone was walking right near it, then speeding through an alleyway where we saw someone again walking through, going at speeds, topping 35 miles an hour in that alleyway.
In that alleyway, boy.
Yeah, that's fast. You can see it bobbing up and down when it was hitting those curbs. And now here we are in North Hollywood on Vineland, going 50 miles an hour.
Running red light still?
It looks like those headlights may, Desmond, have gone out. Oh, no, yeah, they were. They're back on now.
On again, off again. Yeah, it's very strange. We thought we might have seen a unit. Oh, are they stopping?
Yeah.
Well, no, stopping for a second.
They thought about
it. There was
it.
another vehicle parked there, kind of strange. Not sure if that was someone they knew or what, but you know, you're seeing this person just not even slow down through red lights, especially after what we saw yesterday. You know, in the Ladera Heights area, that horrible crash. You know, it's the first thing I think of when you see a suspect going 40 or 50 miles an hour without even slowing down, going through these intersections.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, and especially this situation with no headlights, a black SUV, and, you know, blowing by these cars and pedestrians and so close.
And going the wrong way. I mean, that was so insane when we were watching that happen when he was driving, I believe it was up Vineland, and he was just going on the other side of the road and cars coming head on. I mean, you know, as Desmond was talking about, can you imagine that? You know, driving on a surface street and all of a sudden you see a car coming at you, no headlights on, so you didn't see it before.
Doing it again.
Making
Wrong
it
way
crazy driving
again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Desmond, from your vantage point, how close is the chopper underneath you? Are they still pretty close? You believe that the SUV can probably still hear the blades above them?
Well, actually, you know, Ross, you say that, and my pilot, Dylan, just informed me that LAPD has climbed way up. They may even be higher than we are right now, and that may be the reason why. They still want to keep eyes on the suspect, but maybe it was those chopper blades down at, you know, like 700 feet that it could have been causing the suspect to drive like this. So they've climbed up in the air, and hopefully this will get the suspect to think, you know, there's no law enforcement, you know, imminently pursuing me. I don't need to drive like this. I don't need to gamble with my life and everyone else's life out here. So we'll see if that tactic pays off. But yeah, LAPD still watching, but they're watching from a much higher altitude now at this point. But still, look at back on the wrong side of the street again.
Cutting around cars and just driving fast down. This is Cohasset. I'm sorry, in Vineland Avenue now in Sun Valley, and still veering around this traffic. making a quick right turn, and you just don't know where this person is going next. Again, if you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 9, this is breaking news, a pursuit of a stolen vehicle by the LAPD. The LAPD has only their airship in the air right now, but oftentimes what happens is they will go into this tracking mode with their airship, and they can direct everyone in, and that will actually minimize the risk to both the community and the driver, because as Desmond was talking about, he was thinking maybe that LAPD helicopter, the blades from that helicopter, the noise might have been perhaps agitating the driver. We want to take you to some video to show how crazy this pursuit has been. We've been talking about how erratic this driver has been driving, and on the right side of your screen, what you're looking at is them driving on the wrong side of the road earlier. As you can see, cars trying to go around them. I'm sure a lot of people confused as to what is happening and what is coming at them, especially when they're driving on the wrong side of the road and a car is coming head on at them.
Yeah, what we believe at this point is that there is one person inside this black Lexus SUV. This pursuit starting, I would say, about 20 minutes ago in Van Nuys. At one point, I believe perhaps CHP was involved, but now it's LAPD's pursuit. And as Desmond has been telling us, they've taken a step back. Their chopper is high above, perhaps so this car with an open moonroof can't hear the chopper. The spotlight is no longer on the SUV. But the actions of this driver really haven't changed too much. Still driving erratically, still at times going on the wrong side of the road.
Did they stop here?
Oh. I didn't see them come out the other end yet. Looks like
I didn't see that vehicle. Oh, no, there they are. Geez, it must have been going really, really fast. Came back from behind that building there really quickly. So. Sorry about that. We've got eyes on it. We're right next to Van Nuys Burbank Airport right now, Bob Hope Airport, which can also be a very busy area. So, some clarification here. It sounds like what may actually be going on is we may have CHP's fixed wing that's up high, and LAPD is still down low. They may not be as low as they were earlier, but it sounds like we may actually have two aircraft on this, and it's kind of this peculiar situation. We had it with a pursuit last night that ended up getting away as well, where CHP brings in their fixed wing. It's called a stationaire, and they don't have a spotlight, but they have, what's called FLIR. They have infrared on board that plane. But planes have to stay much higher than helicopters do, and apparently now it sounds like LAPD is actually up at about 1,400, which is about twice as high as they might normally fly. So it's not 4,000. It's the CHP that's up above 4,000, and CHP is low, but not as low as they usually are.
Most of the time with the LAPD, with the tracking mode, they will have ground units that are always nearby, even if the tracking mode is just with the chopper. So as soon as this ends, they maybe stop and they. Chopper radios that in. Looks like they're getting out of the car.
Stopped out.
All right. Now maybe getting in another car.
What is he doing? He left the
car
and drive.
Someone else trying to open the door there.
Getting back in now.
Oh boy. Well, this changes everything. I mean, that was attempted carjacking. It looked like left the car and drive, and then it bumped into that person's vehicle, and saw him, try to get in, and I mean, it was just a parked vehicle. So if they were just trying to, I don't know, go in and hotwire the vehicle or what. I don't know if they thought someone was in there and they could carjack them. But another really desperate maneuver there by this suspect. That's the first time we've seen them stop, and it was an attempt to get out of this vehicle and steal another one. So really curious how law enforcement feels about all that.
You have to say, Desmond, it's just it's a small point but a big point. Thank God that person had their door locked. Because he was not able to get in. We couldn't see any visible weapon. It could be an entirely different situation right now had that door not been locked, and those people you saw on the sidewalk running.
Okay, now look at this.
Now there's a ground unit.
This crazy person just cut off that Burbank unit, and now Burbank says, oh, no, you didn't, and now they are actively getting in pursuit of this vehicle. I don't even know if they're aware of what's going on with this car, that there's been an on-again, off-again pursuit with this vehicle, but this driver was just asking for it. You could clearly see there was a police officer in front of them, didn't care, cut the cop off with the lights off, and now we're southbound on the 5, and now it's like we're in a completely new pursuit.
Is it Burbank Police or Airport Police? How close are we to the Bob Hope there?
I think it's Burbank Police, but
Looks
now,
like Burbank.
well, now the lights are, let's see what they're going to do. Now the lights are off. Maybe there might have been some communication there between LAPD's helicopter. Yeah, it is Burbank Police, my assignment desk confirming that for me, but they turned the lights off really quickly. Now they're kind of getting into tracking mode. Maybe LAPD radioed down and said, no, don't. This person's crazy.
But, if you have a moment here, you can look on the right side of the screen. We're going to show this carjacking attempt again. You see the driver get out in his car, run up to the car in front that it looks like he hit briefly. He can't open the door, and he gets back in his car that was never even in park. He gets back on the road, and that changes everything entirely.
He definitely wanted to ditch this car. He knows it's stolen, obviously. This is a stolen car pursuit, and God knows what, could have happened, as you were talking about, Ross. If this person, if their door was unlocked and they possibly got inside, and if there was someone else inside. It's unclear what they were trying to do, but it looked like they were trying to carjack or steal another car, and another unit looks like from Burbank in chase again.
Ooh. Yeah, they were right there waiting for him. So now, all of Burbank, all of their ground units are aware of what's going on. This is just a pretty confusing one, because we saw them. Maybe Burbank has a protocol where they just don't chase on the freeway, because we saw them turn the lights off the second we got on the freeway. But then right when we get back off, the lights are back on, and we have a couple of units wrong way driving again, and we're getting over near downtown Burbank right now. There's the spotlight.
That's about the area where he cut off the officer to begin with. I think we're back. Is that LAPD's spotlight back on the vehicle?
Yeah, LAPD's or possibly even Burbank PD's. Well, I'll try to clarify that for you in a moment. I think it was over by Hollywood Way and the 5 freeway where that happened. We're just a couple of miles south of that. But a spotlight back on, indicates an active pursuit is going again. So we've seen LAPD, we've seen CHP, then back to LAPD, and then Burbank PD, and a bevy of airships overhead as well. There was another Burbank unit, so they're all talking about this, and now they're trying to figure out how to handle it.
Yeah, so many different jurisdictions getting involved now, as his pursuit has been in so many different areas. But the LAPD actually starting this, and then it turned into the CHP when it was on the freeways. And then back to the LAPD, the airship has been overhead, but the CHP also has a fixed-wing aircraft overhead, which is pretty unusual. It's pretty unusual to see two different agencies like the CHP and the LAPD have different kinds of aircraft up in the air. As you can see that, wow, really threading the needle there.
Well, look, it looks like that attempted carjacking changed the entire calculation here. It looks like this active pursuit is back on, and they know now exactly how dangerous the situation is. It doesn't appear that they're going to let this SUV go.
No, and the lights are off once again.
And look how dangerous that is.
On the freeway.
We've been on these roads. It is very difficult to see, even with headlights on.
Absolutely. And a car coming at you like that, you have no idea what's happening, and such a dangerous thing for drivers just because they can't see what's coming.
Yeah, very difficult. We just saw, merging traffic right there, and this person just zigging and zagging all.
Let's look on the right side of the screen here. I think we lost Desmond temporarily here. This is the suspect getting out of the car, trying to open the door of the car in front of him. He can't. It's locked. He gets back in. And we believe that this is the reason that the spotlight is back on this active pursuit, because we see just how dangerous now the situation is.
Yeah, there were 3 cars or 2 cars ahead of that person when they parked right behind that car that they were trying to possibly carjack. There was one up ahead. They sort of took off, and it looked like they were just taking off right after they saw that person trying to open the door to that car. This is a stolen car pursuit, and so this person is already wanted for stealing this car. I'm sure they wanted to get away from that and rid themselves of that car, because that is what police and the CHP have been chasing. to maybe hide their identity, if you will, a little bit, and get away in a different car and make it look different. But it looks like there were ground units all over that place in Burbank, Ross.
Yeah,
after that suspect actually cut one of them off, and that's when, as Desmond was saying, they're saying, "Nuh-uh, not in our city. This is not happening."
Look, I think it's Burbank police back right behind this guy again. And look, this is a complicated area. We don't know whether this driver knows exactly where he's going. It looks pretty aimless. Burbank PD looks like they're moving in about as close as we've seen at any one time.
Yeah, these are pictures from earlier that we're showing you right now, I believe. Are these live pictures or from earlier? These are pictures from earlier in Burbank when the suspect was driving, actually in the Studio City area, really close to our studios here. And they were driving like a maniac, driving down Ventura Boulevard. And our live picture is back there on the left. Desmond, where are you right now? And are there any ground units behind this person yet?
Susie and Ross, no ground units at this point that we've seen. We are northbound on the 5, though. Now we're headed up towards Sun Valley. And what's interesting is there's now 3 law enforcement helicopters trying to track this crazy driver. There's LAPD, they were the original helicopter. Then we have CHP's fixed wing that's way up high. And now Burbank PD has their helicopter as well. They may have already been cruising out in the area and then heard what happened and came rushing overhead to this. So there's actually 3 aircraft over this for the time being. And, it's been on the freeway, off the freeway, bouncing between different agencies. And so now LAPD is asking CHP to get back involved because we're on the freeway.
Along the I-5 going north here, just passing Sheldon, and look, the only positive development is at least there's a little less traffic. We're on the highway, so no pedestrians in sight, but still driving erratically, going 80 miles an hour, which is, almost the speed of traffic, unfortunately, on the I-5 north on a Friday night. Dangerous situation. At least the headlights are back on. But after that attempted carjacking, Des, I think you called it, I think they know exactly how dangerous this is, and they most likely are going to follow this to the end. Looks like the spotlight is off right now.
Yeah, the spotlight's been on and off, and it's been mostly off at this point, so we might be back in tracking mode. You've got 3 different agencies that are going back and forth with this, and I can just tell you, CHP really does not like picking up pursuits from other agencies if they don't have to. But now they're back on the freeway. They may be kind of obligated to, but the fact they've already been involved in this and then it got so dangerous, they may have reason to just say, no, we need to just let this one go. But you see we're coming over the big connector here between the 5 and the 170 as we make our way into Pacoima. And whereas we had no lights on before, now we've got the headlights and the turn signal stuck on.
All right, Desmond, can you see from your vantage point, I've lost track of, we still have three aircraft in the air. We still have LAPD, Burbank PD's choppers, and then CHP's fixed wing above that?
That way, at last check, yes, that is what we had overhead. We're going to be headed up towards, there's Burbank right there. I believe that's Burbank PD. Still in tracking mode. They don't have their lights on, but they are coming up to them. Actually getting pretty close to them right now. And maybe if they're trying to, do some reconnaissance or something, see if they can maybe at least see how many people are in the car if LAPD had not informed them of that. I'm hoping that the suspect attempted to take that other car because they're almost out of gas and not because they were just, trying to get in another vehicle. I'm just hoping that the gas tank is really low, and that's why they tried to do that, and hopefully they'll run out of gas shortly. But it may just be wishful thinking. But, look at Burbank PD getting right up next to them. Pretty unusual. Looks like they put their little spotlight from the car on them as well to let them know that they're there.
It's an unusual situation, Desmond, as you point out. We have 2 Burbank PD units following behind without their flashing lights on, but with the spotlight on. I'm not sure what the thinking there is, because clearly the driver of the stolen Lexus SUV knows they're behind him. It looks like at this point they're letting the distance increase just a little bit as the suspect continues to, oh, there they come back up again, continuing to race along I-5 northbound near Paxton Street through Pacoima. It looks like he might be heading towards an exit here. Yeah.
We're just got on the eastbound 118. Sorry, I was having to communicate with my pilot here, and we're trying to figure out how many law enforcement units are in the air. We had 3. We might be down to 2 now, but there's one right there. I can't tell if that's LAPD's helicopter or if that was Burbank's. It looked like it had kind of a different paint job right there. But we are eastbound on the 118. We've covered quite a bit of ground. We've been in the valley the entire time. Van Nuys to Encino, back down the 101, Universal City, Studio City, and then back east towards North Hollywood, Burbank, Sun Valley, Pacoima, and now we're making our way towards Sylmar. The eastbound 118 is going to end to the 210, and we'll see if the suspect is going to go east or west on the 210. They will have to stick with the freeway if they continue at this pace.
Yeah, if you're just joining us right now, this is a pursuit of a stolen Lexus SUV. This all beginning at around, I would say, about 9:17 tonight. This driver, originally driving with no headlights on, going through Van Nuys, up through Studio City, through North Hollywood, Burbank, around the airport, then getting on the 5, and now on the 118 in Pacoima. Driving erratically at times, going the wrong way down the street, driving very close through parking lots and alleyways that we saw pedestrians in. A lot of dangerous, erratic maneuvers happening. At one point, LAPD backing off and not pursuing the suspect. And then, if we have the show this, there was an attempted carjacking where this driver stopped his stolen SUV, bumped into a parked car on the street, went up to the side of the car, tried to open the door. Fortunately, it was locked, could not get in, then got right back into his car and continued driving. Now, I believe he's on Paxton Street, right?
I hear you.
Back on Paxton Street here?
Yeah, Ross. Yeah, he's getting onto the eastbound 210 here. It looks like, or wait a minute. Actually, I think we're going westbound 210. Yeah, so that's that fork there where the 118 ends to either head towards Pasadena or towards Sylmar and the Newhall Pass. The suspect chose westbound 210, so we'll be going up through Sylmar. You saw going through that construction zone right there. Fortunately, we just saw cones. We didn't see any workers out there, but the suspect was right up against the line of those cones. And here we are getting off the freeway.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, wait a minute.
Huh.
That's, guys, I'm sorry. I looked away just for a second wow, we're off-roading now.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
I was wondering if it was an exit. It just looked like it was paralleling the freeway.
No, oh, wow. What has the suspect gotten themselves into? So this looks like a construction area where they might be widening the freeway and just drove through a break in the K-rail. And now we're really getting crazy here as we are off-road. And this might be the end. Oh, what? No, I couldn't quite tell in the dark if that was a little hill or... Oh, now they're really stopped. They are trapped. Well, no. Oh, I thought there was nothing around that vehicle. Amazingly, still some space to get around, but where is this going to lead the suspect?
Wow, so just driving on this unpaved road, we possibly think it's merging back with the freeway, right? Wow.
I can't believe how lucky this suspect is. But now look at this, illegally getting back on the freeway with no on-ramp. This is just absurd. I mean, can't imagine what is going through this person's head right now. I wish there would have been some K-rail there to stop that vehicle and trap them in, but it was a construction zone, and there's no way the suspect could have known that they could have gotten in and out of that. Such a bizarre situation, but now exiting the freeway on an actual freeway ramp, it looks like here at Maclay Street.
Desmond, have you ever seen 3 different agencies in the air like this? Burbank, CHP, LAPD all at once? I mean, for a stolen car, too?
It's
I'm
trying to rack
right?
my head and yeah. Oh yeah, very unusual, definitely. Yeah, it's not uncommon to see two, but to see three is okay. So actually now we are down to two. It sounds like LAPD is pulling off. Maybe they're low on fuel. Okay, so this is a weird situation. Maybe you've seen this before, where Caltrans does this thing where they split off lanes.
All right, I think we just lost.
So you have.
We lost you there for just a second, Desmond. If you wouldn't mind just explaining one more time what you were talking about when the Caltrans splits the lanes.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like we're having some difficulty with our shot, though. We're going to keep tracking this pursuit here on KCAL 9. If you're just joining us, this is KCAL 9 News at 10, and we continue to follow our breaking news. A wild pursuit in Pacoima. Desmond Shaw has been live overhead, keeping track for the past hour or so, but this has been an incredible pursuit, so unusual in so many ways, in the fact that just earlier we were talking about three different agencies, the CHP, the LAPD, and the Burbank Police Department with their airships overhead trying to track this guy.
Yeah, I believe we have some video of the pursuit earlier. You know, this all began in Van Nuys about 45 minutes ago. This car driving erratically. It's a stolen Lexus SUV. We believe at this point one person inside that vehicle, at times driving on the wrong side of the road, cutting off vehicles with their lights on, with their lights off, driving through parking lots with pedestrians inside. At one point, coming almost head-on, face-to-face with Burbank police. Where they picked up the pursuit.
They actually cut them off.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the most dangerous moments was when this vehicle actually stopped, and I believe it was in Burbank, is that right? They pulled up to a parked car. It appears that they slightly bumped it. They tried to go up. They got out of the car, the suspect.
They left the car on while they were doing this, too.
And this is it right here, I believe. If we can see that.
Yeah, and they're trying to possibly carjack that car, and it didn't work. The door wasn't open, it looked like, so they get back in their car. That bumped that car, by the way, because the car was left on, and then just went down the street once again.
And that's when we saw LAPD put the spotlight back on this car, re-engaging the pursuit. And it has been going northbound ever since. LAPD, CHP's fixed wing above, and Burbank police had their chopper in the air pursuing this suspect. This has become an entirely different situation now with an attempted carjacking. The motivations and the disregard for other drivers is crystal clear, and that's why we're continuing to follow this, as well as authorities. Desmond, I understand you're back?
Yes, hi guys. We're in a really difficult reception area up here. So we were westbound on the 210. Now we're headed back. Now we're headed back east, back towards the 118 through the Somar area. I was just explaining this construction zone is one of those situations where Caltrans will kind of split the freeway up into three different sections, where two lane, you can kind of see it here in the middle. There's one lane that has K-rail on both sides, and then two lanes to the left of that. And this is what they do when they're I think they call it concrete rehabilitation, when they're basically kind of redoing everything through here. So that, I'm just telling you, that's just what we're seeing there, and that's why for a second it was kind of like maybe they were on getting on an off ramp when they were actually.
Looks like we're still having some signal issues with Desmond's shot there, but just to reiterate, we're talking about how the LAPD actually went into tracking mode, and that's actually happening when they will actually pull back their black and white units on the ground because the pursuit has been so dangerous. I mean, you can only imagine what happens if they put more pressure on this driver by being and driving so close behind them, you know, and they feel that stress and pressure from the back saying the police is chasing me. But with the helicopter, they can get, you know, higher overhead. And I think we actually saw the LAPD doing that tonight as well, just to make sure that this person was not agitated any further. But as we take you to these pictures from earlier, you're just looking at the just erratic moves of this driver that we've been watching for the good part of an hour or so now. And you can see the police in chase earlier and them cutting around cars to make crazy left turns and right turns, driving on the wrong side of the freeway or on the surface streets as well, with cars coming straight at them, as you were just seeing there. And it looks like we have Desmond back now. Desmond, where are we now?
We are eastbound on the 210. Whoa, what happened there? That was weird. They kind of lost control for a second.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. Just saw the person lose control for apparently no reason, unless maybe there was a hazard there. I had looked away for a second, but we are that may have actually even been a spike strip. Okay, it happened so fast.
Yeah.
Now, and it kind of looked like they ran over it. So we'll have to listen for law enforcement and see if they say, good spike or negative spike, indicating if that worked or not. But finally, a really serious attempt to try to stop this person with that spike strip there after, we kind of let the suspect think that law enforcement wasn't doing anything, and they were waiting right there. So I'm not sure. That may have been CHP who was waiting.
Listen, we
That's
can
always
hope.
very daring for, the authorities to get out there and do that.
Yeah, we hope it was a spike strip. As we've seen many times when it's bright outside, when we can see inside the windows, these suspects are frequently on the phone, calling friends and family members, trying to figure out apparently what's going on, even having them watch TV and tell them what they see. It's such an interesting situation. What is going through the mind of this driver inside, as they themselves reach out for information with their cell phone, and perhaps that had something to do with them losing control of that car.
Yeah, it's true. And we're just hoping that this possible spike strip that we possibly may have seen, it's really difficult to see, obviously, because it's so dark, but we're hoping that it did have some sort of effect. Obviously, it's not going to have an effect right away. It's not like it's blowing one of the tires out. When you hit a spike strip, those little pins that you could get in the car, it's like a straw going into your tire, and it will let the air out very slowly. So hopefully that's going to disable this car at some point. But as Desmond was talking about, this is the first attempt that we've actually seen tonight as far as we've been over this pursuit of them trying to stop it in such a way.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Des, as you know, the chances of them doing a pit maneuver are less likely here. Maybe, so we're hoping for the spike strip, right? I mean, they've been here on the main roads here for quite a while now. On the 210.
Yeah, we will not see a pit maneuver on the freeway. Only ever seen it twice, and once was in pretty heavy traffic at low speeds. It's pretty standard to not even attempt it above 40 miles an hour. I was kind of hoping back when Burbank first got involved that they were going to try to do it, but they have to get it approved from their supervisor, and it's up to them. Not every supervisor is going to immediately approve something like that. And again, that's only going to be on surface streets. So right now, it's spike strips until we get off the freeway, maybe more spike strips on surface streets, possibly a pit maneuver if authorized by the watch commander. So at this point, just kind of got to see where the suspect goes. And like I said earlier, hopefully, going to run out of gas or just get tired of this and at the very least get out of the car and run, but at least be out of the vehicle so that they're, not being so dangerous to everyone around them.
Well, when we saw them get out of the car the first time, I think that you nailed that. Perhaps this car is running out of gas. And we can say that it did not appear that there was any obvious weapon in that suspect's hand, so that's a good thing. Right? As they banged on the door there, it could have been much worse if they had a weapon and tried something.
Sure, there were so many parts throughout this pursuit where we were so nervous and going, what is this person doing? As Ross was just talking about, them possibly trying to carjack somebody along the street, and they failed. When they noticed that the door was locked and they couldn't get in, they crashed their car, bumped it into that car that they were trying to possibly carjack. You see it right here on the right side of your screen. They're pulling behind this car. Desmond, what's happening?
Well, you know what? God, that was CHP right there, and they may have been out with a spike strip on the main line of the freeway, but the suspect took the off-ramp and then got back on the on-ramp. So if CHP had spikes there, they might have been facing the wrong way because you thought that the suspect was going to be getting on the freeway. I'm not even sure that that's what was happening, but we did see that unit that was pulled over, and they may have had spike strips out there, but the suspect is just diabolical in their thinking. Lights on, lights off, had the hazards on for some reason, turn signal stuck on at points. It's just incredibly erratic, and that's, to say nothing of the wrong way driving and everything we saw earlier, getting within a few feet of the pedestrians. Speeds, the speedometer there is kind of all over the place. I think we're really only at about 60s, maybe up to 80 miles an hour. That's the fastest that we've seen. And then there's another maneuver where often suspects will act like they're going to get off the freeway, but then they don't. And we do have a unit here kind of re-engaged. I'm not sure if that's Burbank PD or if that's CHP.
Yeah, well, we've seen 3 different agencies involved in this pursuit tonight. If you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 10, this is breaking news. A stolen car pursuit started with the LAPD in Van Nuys. The CHP got involved when it got onto the freeways on the 101 freeway. And when it got back onto the surface streets, the LAPD airship took over overhead, calling the shots. And the CHP did have their fixed wing aircraft over at one point. And then when the pursuit went into Burbank, the Burbank Police Department got involved not only with their ground units, but also on surface streets, but also in the air with their airship. So highly unusual, as Desmond was talking about, that we see 3 different agencies in the air like this. But obviously they want to get this person, and I'm guessing that the Burbank Police Department and the CHP are possibly doing some coordinating to make that happen.
Yeah, and we've seen some pretty erratic driving. We've seen going the wrong way down the street. We've seen driving by pedestrians dangerously close, speeding through parking lots, speeding through alleyways. At one point, this SUV clipping another vehicle while trying to get back on the 101. And at one point, that attempted carjacking. Plenty of dangerous situations as this drags on now for about an hour along the way here. That's why we've had 3 separate agencies at one point all together following this car and waiting to see when they could step in and do something safely to bring this under control.
So Desmond, do you think possibly two spike strip possibilities?
Yeah, we know for sure that we had one.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if that other one we saw was a spike attempt. I mean, we saw CHP pulled over. They may have just been waiting to get engaged in this, or they could have been out there with spike strips. That's unclear, but that is a CHP unit. I can tell because it's the single white doors, just the front doors that are white. That's an easy way to distinguish between law enforcement. Police will have all 4 doors will be white. So we know that's a CHP SUV right now, and it's actually CHP Altadena specifically that it looks like they're engaged in this. So I mean, we've had so many agencies in this one. I mean, the only one that we really haven't had, the main one, is, you know, sheriff's deputies, and I imagine that they're pretty happy not to be involved in this, but they're definitely aware because this may end up coming into one of their jurisdictions. I believe actually the La Cañada Flint Ridge area, which would be sheriff's jurisdiction. But so now off the freeway again, but we'll see. A lot of times this suspect just gets off and then gets right back on. Getting onto Latuna Canyon, particularly dark road, but no, going the other way. Deciding to go and, yeah, just right back on the freeway. So very weird. Just what's even the point? I mean, I guess, you know, what's really the point of all this, but just you have no idea what to expect from this particular suspect.
Well, they're not letting this person go, that's for sure. Like we've been talking to you about, there are 2 airships overhead, as far as we know, following this person, and a ground unit, as Desmond has been showing us. But it's still unclear if this person hit any spike strips that were possible attempts, as we saw. Again, it's dark out there, so it's definitely hard to see, you know, officers with the spike strips. And the officers actually, when they're putting out these spike strips on the freeway, no less, that's actually very, I believe, rare to see, only because they have to get ahead of this person so much. And they have to, you know, be certain that this person is actually going to go over that spike strip. And that officer, obviously, after they throw that spike strip, they have to get out of the way. They have to actually hide, if you will, so that they don't see that officer as well before they hit it. But it's unclear. Yeah.
We're hearing now from our desk here that they did have a good spike. So we're hearing that authorities do believe they may have had some punctured tire on this. So if that's the case,
It's just a matter of time.
it's just a matter of time. Exactly. And as you say, you know, it is really a dangerous situation when they're putting strips on a wide open highway. There's no way to control where this person is driving or where anyone else is.
Oh, out.
Did they run out of
Here we go.
gas?
And running.
Here we go, running.
Running. Okay, no,
They're
they
giving up.
realize it's over. It
Yeah.
looked like they wanted to run, thought better of it off the 210 at Lowell. Realized that it was just a matter of time because the spikes were effective there. The tires were deflating, and the writing was on the wall for this suspect. And just like that, it is over here off of the 210 freeway. Looked like they were going to try to run. Saw there was nowhere to go. CHP was ready for it. You saw that they give the suspect no space whatsoever, and now they are preparing to take this person into custody.
Well, look, the only smart thing this guy did all night long was not run. He apparently obeyed commands, put his hands up, got down on the ground. His officers move in now to check him for weapons. And fortunately, at least this part is
over,
without incident.
Looks like they're checking to clear the car to make sure no one else is inside this car. As far as we know, we only know that one occupant. But oftentimes they'll go back there and find someone else. But it looks like they are going to clear this car. And the suspect now under arrest off the Lowell exit off the 210 after evading police for about a good part of an hour. And now getting arrested and going to be put into this patrol car and call it a night. But boy, was that a dangerous pursuit. Looks like they're limping a little bit too.
Yep, might have sprained his ankle as he came out of the car or something, and maybe that's even why they didn't run him. He didn't just immediately get out, might have not taken a good step. And hats off to CHP with that one. They just coordinated everything so perfectly. They had several spikes. They just needed that one good spike attempt. And once they knew they had a good spike, they had 2 units right there behind the suspect so that when they stopped, they could immediately take them into custody.
Yeah, Desmond, at least this came to a safe ending here. Our amazing CHP bringing this all under control. They did get a good spike about 5 minutes ago. That car driver driving a stolen Lexus SUV, realizing he could go no further, getting out and finally surrendering himself without incident after about an hour, leading authorities on this chase from Van Nuys all the way up here. Any new information, of course, we'll get it out to you in this newscast as CHP wraps this scene up.